Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm going to continue my pilot career as a German Luftwaffe pilot on the East Front. But before I do that, I'm gonna go into the controls. I was advised by one of my beautiful subscribers, Glenn, that I should reduce the brightness on the gun sight, just to be able to see the aircraft. It might be hidden behind the illuminated line or the circle, and it's then hardly to be seen. So I'm going to try to find this. Okay, that's the aircraft controls, rudder, elevator, aileron, rudder, engine. Okay, propeller. I just need to find something like increase, decrease brightness of the gun sight. Okay, supercharger engines. Toggle selection for all engines. Wait a moment. I'm going to find a key combination to it. Select all engines. Wait a moment. Select all engines. Okay, it's here. Control A. I was going to put Control A here, but it's the toggle selection for all engines. I can use this one here, so that's okay. Left engines, right engines. Fire extinguisher. Control F. Okay, I need to remember this. I'm usually going to bail out, but if it is like single engine aircraft and it's under fire, it's definitely better to bail out than to risk like the burns or the explosion even. But if it is like, for example, 4-engine aircraft, like you are flying B-17, you don't want to bail out just because one of the engine is under fire. So that's why you can use this fire extinguisher. And it was basically a very simple solution back then in the Second World War. It was like really an fire extinguisher with some nozzles around the engine, and you basically activated it from the cabin, and it basically depleted the content of the fire extinguisher into the engine location. So it was very simple, but very effective on the other side. Flaps up, down, gear, air brake. Brakes, tail wheel, jettison, drop tanks, Control T, okay, deploy drag chute. Refueling device, okay, interesting. So it's definitely something which is included here with the BAT mode. It's not in the vanilla version, definitely. You are unable to refuel any aircrafts in the vanilla IL2, basically. Toggle wing, RX-ting, close canopy, side hatch. Okay, interesting. For example, side hatch, like maybe in the Dakota or Air Cobra, for example, might be something like this. Fuel dump. Okay, so if you are flying as a tanker and you are dumping, you are too heavy for the landing, full of fuel, and you need to dump a little bit of the fuel just to make your aircraft lighter. Very interesting. Gun pots, flares, chaff. Okay, another thing which is included here from the BAT mode. Toggle sight mode, Control S. Increase sight distance, decrease sight distance, shift, drift to right, to left, increase sight altitude, decrease sight altitude, sight velocity, bomb release mode, train amount, train delay, okay. Radar mode, increase scan range, increase radar gain. So this is the settings for the gun sight / bomb sight, but I don't see any brightness here. Sight distance, increase, sight distance, decrease. Okay, that's not the brightness itself. Gunner controls, views, jump to specific views, field of view, gun sight view, okay. Increase field of view, decrease field of view, cockpit view, no cockpit, external, flyby, padlock, external padlock, chase view, next and toggle gun sight, shift appear now, okay, I'm using that. Toggle seat position, stationary camera, ordnance camera, okay. Snap view, look anywhere, pan view, okay. Head movement up, down, crouch down, lean forward, backward, left, right, center, commands, okay, tabulator, autopilot, level autopilot, bailout, totally okay. Tinted reticle dimmer, it's the like cover if you are flying into the sun, catching your bandit. You can put some like dimmer in front of the gun sight so you are much easily to see it. Cockpit lights, toggle navigation lights, landing light, wingtip smoke, map, full screen map, chat, online rating, next toggle speed bar, icon types, mirrors. Wait a moment. Okay, Control M, I will try it. There were no mirrors on the 109, but okay. Maybe it will help me for some other aircrafts. Icon types, it's working with the map, I suppose. Next beacon, views, compass, jettison, confuse mode. Toggle reticle brightness. Okay. That should be the thing I'm looking for. Control B. Is it used for something? Brightness. Control B. Okay, it's not. So it's the brightness now, and I'll try to adjust it during the once I'm in the cockpit. Close, open, Bombay. Some mist. Settings, formation lights, anti-collision lights. Okay, so definitely something which is also known from the modern era, not from the Second World War. Radio mute, radio channels mute, accelerate time. Okay, HOTAS control, so nothing here, it's just the HOTAS. And that's it. Save as default, load defaults, okay, apply. So it's the Control B, like for the brightness B, okay. Last check, control brightness, okay. And I've also set up these mirrors, Control M, but there are no mirrors on the German fighter. So let's jump into the cockpit. There should be a new mission for me, which is very short. Ground units should be attacked by the surrounding. Let me read it once again. We are advancing towards Kalinin. Okay, that's the Kalinin. Through a narrow and vulnerable corridor. You can see this corridor here. So they're like pretty much advancing basically too much. And Soviet aircraft attack our transport columns. Okay. Your task now is to patrol the perimeter of this corridor and attack all enemy aircraft trying to get through. Fette Boite. Okay. So, first of all, I'm going to set up the gun pods or include the gun pods on my aircraft just to increase my firepower. And let's jump into the cockpit. And let's see how this mission goes. So we should be patrolling the perimeter and looking for any Soviet aircrafts which might appear in this area, and ideally to shoot them down. So that's my goal, that's my dream. Let's try to do so. Okay, let's start the engine. Okay, engine up and running. Flaps down. Position lights on. Wow, it's so beautiful. Still love how this game looks like. It's so amazing. Okay, there's an aircraft in front of me. Let's check him from time to time. Oh, and this is the new airfield. So we are going to roll to the runway first. So it's not like taking off like before. And it's very nice that in this Operation Taifun, we are doing such taxi to the starting position. Not like in the vanilla IL2. Okay, I switched to the external view. I just need to make sure that I'm looking correctly in front of me. So unlike in the vanilla IL2 where your aircraft basically spawns on the runway already, and you are just starting the engine on the runway, which is really like ridiculous. In this case, you are basically starting somewhere in the box and then rolling out to this runway. Okay, that's the runway. Oh, wait a moment. Oh, okay, a little bit drifting. Now this aircraft will slow down. Yes. It's not turning that steep. I'd like to turn. Hopefully, I'm not going to collide into this beautiful AAA. Seems like some kind of 37 millimeter. Okay, let's. Junkers 52 above my head. Okay, the leader is already in the air, so let's follow him. It seems like an air show here, basically. So many aircrafts flying above my head, so really interesting situation here. Okay, let's go for the takeoff. Okay, I'm on the runway now. Let's try to keep this orientation. The runway is pretty wide, so nothing complicated for the takeoff. Okay, another green flare. Okay, we are in the air. I can see the leader in front of me, so let's form on his left wing, because I'm number 2. I should say, like, just check it from the outside. Okay, number 2 on my fuselage. So let's form on his left wing. Let me play a little bit with this brightness now. So it's the Control B combination. Reticle brightness 7, 8, 1. Okay. Maybe 2 is okay. 1 was like... So definitely it looks like more realistic. I like it, like how it looks like. It's looking much better now. Very nice. Okay, I'm gonna activate the map. We'll be using the map the entire flight, except the combat. It's looking so great, like all the time. I love it. Let's press the Control M key, but there is like no mirror in this 109. like anywhere, but let's try to press it. Okay, okay, nothing changed. And I've lost the visual. Okay, there he is. Slightly up, slowly reducing the distance between me and the leader. Number 3 is also closing slowly, so let's join the formation. I expect him to be flying at 160, so still quite slow. Okay, changing to next steer point. And we are climbing even more than before. Okay, not anymore. Okay, number 2, but I'm going to the right wing. No problem with that. That is number 1 on the fuselage and number 2 on the fuselage on my aircraft. And then there is this like German insignia on the fuselage and the straight stripe, I should say. You can see that it is black on the leader's aircraft and white on my aircraft. And basically this stripe or this symbol was used to determine the ranking of the pilot. So the higher the rank, the different shapes there were. It was like also some arrows and so on. I'm not going to tell you the exact meaning of these shapes or these symbols. Like I don't know how, for example, the flight lieutenant and some Oberst, for example, which of them do have which symbols, but definitely these are representing the pilot ranking. Beautiful view. There is some other airfield in the distance. I can see it from here. And apparently we are quite far away from our home airfield already, so it won't be visible anymore. And now I realize that the F variant of the 109 has like fully retractable rear landing gear, like the tail landing wheel. It's like completely inside the fuselage. For example, the E variant has like fixed. So it's definitely the F variant is like more aerodynamically clear than the E variant. It's like very streamlined aircraft, very nice looking, and also much faster than the E variant. So one of the changes are the engine couplings. They are much more like fluent, aerodynamic. Also the propeller, how to say it, propeller middle. It's also like more aerodynamic than the E variant, which was flat in the start or in the front. There were some hardenings under the horizontal stabilizer. So now on the F variant they are missing, and the landing or the rear landing gear it's like fully retractable. Those are the like most significant changes. The other changes is also this air intake for the turbo or turbocharger is like round shape. On the E variant, it's like square shaped, and it's like more connected to the fuselage. Now it's like further away from the fuselage. Okay, now all three aircrafts are formed perfectly in the formation. So far, I don't see any dots like anywhere on the horizon, so far no Soviet aircrafts here. I just need to rely on my own eyes, just because I don't have the labels and I don't have the symbols on the map, so everything will be like very close to the reality, but I'd like to use the labels at least. It's sometimes really hard to distinguish between the 109 and Yak, for example. You have to fly closer just to identify this aircraft, whether it's like German or Soviet. And definitely the map will also help. Like I mean the symbols, red symbols on the map will also help to increase my like situation awareness. Now I'm just seeing the German forces on the map. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, there are some airfields in the target area, which is always nice, always needed. So in case I got somehow damaged or something like that, I might be able to go for the landing in this area. So which is it's always handy to have like something closer to your position. So we are flying at 160 knots, 6,800 feet altitude, not that high, which was typical for the east front. Much less altitude than on the west front, where all the battles happened like in higher altitudes. So definitely the turbochargers were like must on the west. On the east, it was a nice benefit, but definitely the fights happened in the lower up to mid altitudes. Just because most of the Soviet aircraft were like they don't have the pressurized cockpit, so the pilots were like unable to fly any higher. Maybe the later variant, like I mean the Yak 9 or the Lavochkin 5, Lavochkin 7, MiG 3, and so they definitely had some breathers or something like some oxygen source for the pilots, so therefore they can use like higher altitudes, but not these aircraft from this early era. They were basically without the oxygen, so strictly limited to lower altitudes. So maybe the maximum where you can breathe like normally as a pilot, if you are somehow like trained, is like 15 to 18,000 feet. Anything higher, basically, you probably need to use the air source or the oxygen source for the pilot. Uh, Quite too much clouds is here, so that's the limiting factor for the visibility. Not just we are usually in some cloud, but also there are clouds around us, so that's limiting our view outside. Most of the attacks happened basically from the sun. So if you are going to attack someone, definitely try to hide into the sun, and the pilot will be unable to see you if you are attacking with the sun behind you. But as you can see, the sun is quite low already. So it's really hard to use it as a cover. Okay, we are end of this narrow front line. So far so good, so the enemy fighters didn't appear anywhere, but something's telling me that if there is something to happen, it will happen very, very soon, just because we are in this part of the front line. So maybe after the next tier point, there will be some Soviet fighters entering this area, and we need to stay alert at all costs. Okay, we are approaching the, let's say, last steer point in this area. The next one is the leaf steer point. This is the mid steer point in this area. So I think it will happen, and I can see that the flight leader has the gun pods also under the wings, and also the number 3 has the gun pod. So I can basically select the weapon loadout for the entire flight, not just for me, which is great. So hopefully these gun pods will help my buddies to be even better. Okay, we are at the most important steer point probably here. So from now on, some situation might appear. Okay, it's the evening, the sun is on the west, so the sun will be going down very soon. Still flying quite slow. I would like to fly much faster than my flight leader is flying, so we are keeping up a good altitude definitely. We should be higher than the Soviet fighters. They usually appear in 2 to 4,000. So definitely 6,000 is really nice, almost 7,000. But the airspeed is something which is really worrying for me. Flying slow means that you are basically spending more time in the assigned area where you should patrol, which is okay. That's the positive thing, that you are spending more time in the patrol area. But on the other side, it gives you less opportunity to react to some threats, definitely, if there will be some fighters attacking from above. So with a much higher energy state, we are almost struggling to keep up in the air. So our energy is not that high as it should be, definitely. So flying on definitely 350 maybe will be much better. Just the double the speed, and it will give us opportunities to use also some vertical maneuvers, for example. So in 160, if I now start to climb or try to do some loop or some verticals, I will end up basically stalling the aircraft. So that's the reason. We are all the time in some cloud, so the visibility is very limited. So far, I don't see any Soviet aircrafts anywhere. Okay, another cloud here. We can see the enemies, but at least the enemies can see us if there are such clouds, and we are hidden in them. So that's the positive thing. The negative is definitely that we can't see out of the cloud as well. The clouds basically were the like significant or were playing like significant role in the Second World War. Unlike nowadays, basically in the radar era, you are able to see the targets even through the clouds. So it's much different situation. And okay, we are turning home, but there were like no Soviet aircraft so far anywhere. And we are not delayed, definitely. That, for example, if I will be the flight leader and it will took me too long to take off, we should be delayed like 5 minutes maybe after the planned like timing. But the flight leader was flying on his own and he was keeping the scheduled time. So definitely this is not the factor that we are not meeting the enemies. Maybe it's a random event, like whether they will appear or not. I do remember specific missions when I was like reflying them. Sometimes there were like Soviet fighters, sometimes there were no Soviet fighters. So seems like it's a random occasion of them. At least the autopilot is like really nice, so I can keep my eyes open, like looking around me and not looking at the flight leader and keeping my position on his wing. So definitely that's why the German fighters were like more successful in the early stages of the Battle of Britain, because they have like more loosened formations, not that strict like the British Air Force or the Royal Air Force, which were like more strict, and the Germans were like keeping the two-ship formations, while the Royal Air Force was keeping the three-ship formations, and definitely to keep the three-ship formation like together with much closer distances was like quite demanding for the pilot qualities, and it was reducing the situation awareness basically of the pilot. So they were like too much focused on the keeping up the position on the wing than hardly to realize that they are being attacked from some direction, for example. So that's why the German were like more successful in the early stages of the Battle of Britain. Look at the engine temperature. It's almost freezing, like at such low RPM, such high altitude. Like it's outside is like how to see the outside temperature. Wait a moment. It was showing me or tap. No, it's the power plant only. Oil 6 degrees, 32 degrees Celsius. Fuel 82%. Okay, so I can see even the fuel here. How to see the outside temperature? It was visible sometimes. I don't know. Maybe wait a moment. Now, if I use the time compression, okay, so I can see that it's minus 8 degrees outside. so my engine is really struggling to on the lower border or lower margin of the green temperature. So it's not like freezing, but it's at the lowest possible margin, definitely. And the clouds are like more denser than before, so it's even more limiting our views. I don't know whether I should like lose this formation and try to fly once again around these ground units, ground forces. There is an airfield down below. So maybe they will attack somewhere here. I don't know. Maybe they will still appear. So I'm gonna keep up with the formation. I'm still okay with the fuel to make like one or another turn around this area, but it will cost me like too much time. Now I can use the time compression just because I'm using the luxury of the autopilot, but if there won't be any flight leader, I can't use the time compression. So let's use it now. I'd like to see some action, don't take me wrong, so I'd like to see some Soviet fighters, but excuse me, but also flights like this appeared, or were like the reality where the pilots were like flying all the time and were unable to see the enemies. And I've read a lot of books about the Second World War, about the fighters, bombers, and so on. Okay, we are accelerating somewhere, or at least the flight leader is accelerating. So seems like we have some situation here. But there was no message about the enemy fighter, so I don't know whether he saw something or it's just him flying. Okay, we are approaching the airfield already. Aha, okay. So I'm gonna make a quick turn back. Just gonna make one short or one fast turn back to the target area and all the way back once again. Just to make sure that there won't be any secondary recon. So, and seems like number 3 is flying behind me, which is really interesting. I wasn't expecting him to be with me, but it's always like never fly alone. That was the rule number 1 for the fighter pilots. Never be alone like anywhere. Always be with your wingman. Otherwise, you might be very easily outnumbered and shot down. But I was talking about something else initially. About what was that? What was that? I was talking about the fighter pilots. Basically, there were like many fighter pilots which were active during the entire Second World War, or were active maybe for 2 or 3 years, and for the entire time of their service, they were like unable to meet any enemy fighter, for example, or any enemy aircraft, for example. So it was just patrolling the areas, like unable to meet the enemy, and sometimes where they like were able to see the enemy somewhere in the distance or in higher altitude, they were trying to pursue them, but the enemy basically disappeared, so run away. So also such situations appeared or happened. Okay, that's the airfields down below. There should be like 2 of them, or it's just one but with 2 runways. Very nice looking airfield, by the way. It's like very similar to the airfields in the Royal Air Force in the Great Britain. They usually had this cross shape. It's very cloudy here in this area, and I don't know whether there will be some fighters here or not. Definitely we are flying above the friendly ground forces. They are somewhere down below on these roads. Maybe let's fly down low. Okay, still okay with the fuel. That's the Kalinin, or what was the name? Kalinin, right. And probably this is already the Soviet. It's still held by the Soviets, so we might expect here some AAA action against us. So there still might be some Soviet troops here in this city, but maybe if we are flying above the city, we might force the Soviet fighters to appear here. Hopefully they will call the support. Okay, I don't see any ground fire coming from the Kalinin, which is really interesting. I would expect that any soldier will basically fire at us. It seems like this city is like lacking or it's like already abandoned by the Soviet army. That's why I love the dynamic campaign. So unlike these preset missions, where basically you have to put like every single unit on the map and put some target for the unit, put some like purpose or position and set up some action for the unit in order to make it like work properly. So basically, if you don't put any units here, it's like this ghost town basically, where the front is just in front of the city, but there is like no defenders in the city. So no tanks, no guns. I don't like it, honestly. I like the world in the Falcon basically when you are operating over the front line. There is multiple enemy units like everywhere you move in the enemy territory. There are always some ground forces shooting at you. Basically, each unit has some shield cast, some SA7s for the like the manpads. So you are always targeted by some. Even the tanks are shooting at you with the machine guns. So that's how the Falcon world looks like. It's really like you are really on the front line, and this is how it looks like in the DCS or any like pre-planned missions where the creator of this mission forgot to put some Soviet units here, even though they are like protecting this. According to the story, they are like protecting this city, but nobody's here. So that's why I always prepare the dynamic campaign over this like preset missions, working according some scenario. But now, for example, if I would fly over the Moscow, it's not so far from here. So if I had like enough fuel at the mission start, if I fly over the Moscow, like nobody would be there basically. So that's that's how it looks like in this mission. And then that's why I always prefer like Falcon over the DCS. Maybe you are sometimes like confused why I still fly the Falcon, for example, why I don't fly the DCS or something like that, but or the lock-on, for example. But Flaming Cliffs, anything like that, it's looking great. Don't take me wrong. It's looking definitely better than the Allied Force, but I can't imagine that in the first day of the war, I would fly over the Srebrenica or Sarajevo or Pyongyang, for example, and be flying like this over the city. I would be immediately shot down, basically. Every airfield is like protected by some AAA, some system in the Falcon. And for example, here in the IL2, if I fly now over the Moscow, there will be like nobody shooting at me. I can basically land somewhere in the streets and be there for 1 hour with my engine shut off, and nothing will happen basically. So if you fly like I don't know 10 kilometers away, or maybe like 30 kilometers away from the pre-planned fly path, there is like that area, that zone around it, like nothing's there, nothing's happening. So that is the thing which I like. I don't like on the other simulators. In the Allied Force, you can basically feel that you are somewhere in the war, and you are a small part in that war. Okay, I'm going to fly back home. Unfortunately, I was unable to meet any Soviet fighters so far. So there is a front line. They are like under attack of the German troops. They didn't send any fighter here. Although in the briefing it was written that our transport troops are like under constant attack of the Soviet fighters. Suddenly, no one's here. Kaliningrad seems to be like already evacuated, already abandoned, like a ghost town basically. I don't know. I don't like this feeling. I know I know it's not the fault of the creators of the missions. It will be really like hard for them to create like all the ground units like everywhere. But maybe if you can update this Operation Typhoon and put some, I don't know, there is, wait a moment, there is a front line here, for example. So if I move my mouse, there is a front line. So if the flight path goes through the front line, there always should be over the front line, there should be some ground forces on the left and the right side, or the east and the west side. And I'd like to see maybe some flak even coming from the front line. So definitely the front line is the most defended like area in each war. And I was flying the entire mission over this, let's say this shape, like very narrow area around one road, with many other like areas around it where you can put some AAA, some flak. And I was flying here for, I don't know, for half an hour, and I didn't see any flak explosion in the area, for example. So I don't know, it's the Second World War, or it's like a peace here, or what happened, I don't know. And if someone was creating this mission, I would expect some really hard defenses over the Kalinin. So if there is like multiple forces defending the city, so I can expect that this tanks, these troops, they also had like really significant AAA cover, just to protect them from the aircrafts. So I'm wondering why they do not take this Kalinin by the attack. Like nobody's there, so they can easily capture the city. Okay, enough of the chit chat. I'm gonna land. I don't see the green. Okay, I'm too far probably to see the flare, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to try to land as good as possible, but you know my skills. So ideally, I'd like to return my aircraft to the ground crew in one piece, but hopefully it will be possible. Okay, let's communicate a little bit with the ground control. Vector to request for landing number 4. Okay, there is the green flare in the distance, so that's the position of the airfield. I'm going to fly still this direction, and we'll turn left later on. I still don't see the runway, but maybe I will make a turn around the airfield just to make sure I'm correctly aligned with the runway. As you can see, the sun already set somewhere behind the horizon, so it's getting darker and darker, and I need to make sure that I'm like be in the correct line with the airfield, or to be aligned, just to make a proper approach. But very nice detail. I like it. This green flashlights or flares. It's very nice. Like just to inform you that you are clear to land and you are basically allowed to land. So if they use the red flare, you know that you shouldn't be landing there. Okay, I think I can see the runway, although I'm not sure like exactly. Let's wait a moment. Maybe let's zoom it a little bit. Okay, that's the airfield, and I'm going to land from this direction already. So let's slow down. Let's make like landing flaps, gear down. And the green flare is also lighting up the airfields. I can see some green light on the ground basically from the flare. So it's really interesting. I can imagine that during the night operations, it might help you out to basically not just to see the airfield like where it is, just because of the flash of the flare, but also to see the runway, just because it's like illuminated by this flare. So let's keep up the correct airspeed. Okay, I'm gonna align myself with the runway. Let's sit up slightly higher so I can see through my nose. Very nice. I'm slightly faster, so let's reduce the speed. Perfect landing. I was able to hear now when they fired the flare. Really nice. I like it. Mission complete. Okay. Uh, this was probably one of my best landings ever. Especially uh, during the, let's say, YouTube making. Why my lights are off? Did I switch the lights off during the landing? I don't know. Okay, let's roll to the end of the runway. Let's open up the canopy already. Okay, I can see the green illumination like on the ground. It's like flashing green. Nice one. I like it. It has like nice detail. So the mission is over. I'd like to meet at least, I don't know, there were some fighters, like just two of them, for example. It would be really nice to change some boom boom between me and them. a little bit FPS drop. Maybe I'm taxiing too slow. It's not that easy to taxi on the proper speed. If you are too slow, it's like they are waiting for you for ages. And if you are too fast, you are risking the damage of the aircraft. So it's not an easy task to estimate the taxi speed properly. Maybe there are some rules for such grass airfields. For the concrete airfields, like the maximum taxi speed, definitely there must be a rule, especially in the Luftwaffe. They basically had rules for like everything, so I have no doubts that even the maximum taxi speed has been also included in the pilot training. Okay, let's park my aircraft here between these Junkers here, just to make sure I'm out of the runway or taxiway now. Still, some of the hangars are damaged or destroyed even. Okay, I think that's enough. Perfect. Okay, the green flashlight again. Lights off. And I'm done with the flying for today. The day has ended. Let's see the outcome of the mission. So there is like 0 score for this mission. Nothing happened during the entire flight. I was unable to see even some machine gun. So I was unable to attack like anything here. So the next mission for my next video will be from the October 16th, 1941. Your task now is to perform a sweep towards Klin and Volokolamsk. Klin and Volokolamsk. Okay, number 4, number 5. Steer points. As always, all enemy aircraft should be attacked and shot down. Okay, so I hope there will be at least some enemy aircrafts. I should attack all of them, but if there is like 0, it's also all of them. Okay, that's okay. But try and conserve your aircraft. We have fewer and fewer serviceable 109s. Okay, so I should be really like trying not to damage or to get any hits from the Soviet fighters. You can see that we captured the Kalinin, so the German forces proceeded through the city, so they captured it already. So Kalinin is held by the Wehrmacht now, and we are trying to destroy any fighters operating within this area between Klin and Volokolam, just closer to the Moscow. Okay, guys, so that's it for today. I'm done with the video, so thank you for watching. As always, have fun, take care, and bye.